Hey, what's up everybody? This is Justin. Recently I received an email from a man who wants to remain anonymous, but he's going through a very terrifying issue right now, and he wanted me to address this in a video. And for him and for anybody else who is going through the fear of going crazy. But this isn't your typical run-of-the-mill fear of going crazy. Now, this individual had 3 years of depersonalization and derealization. Now, the fear of going crazy is not isolated to only people who have had depersonalization or derealization. You can have these intrusive thoughts under any circumstances. Regardless. In previous videos, especially like when I said life after depersonalization, you can get out of depersonalization. But what put you in depersonalization, which was the repetitive overthinking of over-monitoring and all of the focusing on everything doesn't look real, everything looks derealized, everything is out of place, all of that transfers to something new. And now you're experiencing these intrusive thoughts, and they're going on a loop, as your thoughts were going on a loop when you were in the depersonalized state. They've now transferred to this. Now, individuals who have depersonalization or derealization will experience these intrusive and other bizarre thoughts too while having their condition. Now, I'm going to lump this man's story into several other stories and several other examples, but many men have emailed me before and they've said, like one was in the lobby of a waiting room and got this intrusive thought of, he saw this guy sitting in a chair and he thought, what if I just go and knock this guy unconscious? And that thought scared him. And it went on a loop in his head. I've had other people email me before saying that they've had intrusive thoughts, very graphic, very detailed, of them murdering somebody. I've had women email me before talking about they fear they're going to smother their own child. This intrusive thought goes through their head, and they think that they're capable of doing this, or they think that they're going to lose control and do this involuntarily. Some women have emailed me saying, I get these images in my head of just really graphic child abuse, whether someone else is doing it or whether they themselves are the ones doing it. On both sides, man and woman, people have shared the intrusive thought of pedophilia. Now, none of these people want these thoughts, and these individuals are very frightened by these thoughts, and they believe they're going crazy because they are having these thoughts. Now, listen carefully. 100 people, and I will tell you, the very fact that you're questioning your own sanity goes to show you're fine. You're okay. An individual who would be suffering with, like, if somebody's homicidal or they're violent or they're a sexual predator, they're not going to be afraid of those thoughts. Those thoughts aren't going to disturb them. Those thoughts aren't going to send them into a neurotic pattern of thinking and induce a panic attack. It's really strange to say this, but we are humans and we are creative people, and sometimes our imagination gets the best of us. Sometimes ideas construct in our head that we just cannot explain, and they can be very graphic, they can be very violent, they can be very immoral. But just because we think of a way that we can steal from the company doesn't make us thieves. And entertaining ideas, we need to do that in order to evolve, but there's also a dark side to that, and sometimes we'll cultivate ideas in our head that are very unpleasant. So when you think this thought, whatever it may be, even if it is just the run-of-the-mill, I'm afraid that I'm gonna walk the street talking to myself and not be aware of it, I'm gonna lose control and crash my car into the side of another car, swerve my car head on into another car. A lot of people have the fear that they're going to pass out. What happens is when those ideas get in your head, no matter how violent or how mild they may be, when those thoughts come into your head, you obviously are afraid of the fact that your own mind came up with that in such graphic and vivid detail. Then what happens is you get your panic attack. It might be a small panic attack. And when you have a panic attack, you feel like you're losing control. So you feel as if you've lost control, which then makes you re-question the thought that you had, the validity of it, the validity of your sanity. And now all hell is breaking loose inside of your head. You're sitting there and there's literally a war zone going on in your head, and somebody else could look at you and you appear to be like this. They have no idea that World War III is happening in your head. For a lot of people, this is normal. Now, some of these incredibly intrusive, disturbing thoughts will come into the heads of people and they'll, for some reason, just pass it off. Oh well, that was weird. Some people get attached to them. Some people have a difficult time processing them. And it is a scary thing. I've experienced it myself. So, what are we going to do about this? Right now, I think we're comfortable. I think that we've got an idea of what's going on. So maybe, let's say we've tackled half the problem right now. Now, for the anonymous person who emailed me, and for anybody else that's watching this, you listen very carefully to me right now. You're going to look at the current date that you watched this video. So when you watch this video, look at what date it is, and then 7 days from that date, I want you to write that date on a piece of paper, and I want you to tack it to your wall. You have approximately 7 days to be scared, to question your sanity, to allow this to affect you. But after those 7 days are over, this fear of going crazy ends. At that point, it ends. You're going to have 7 days of evidence. You not only have 7 days, but you have all of the days previous, which could have been hundreds of days, to show that you have not gone crazy. And you're going to use that evidence against your fear, because the intrusive thoughts are not going to stop after 7 days. They're going to continue to perpetuate. But when they do, you're going to remember to breathe, and then you're going to say to yourself, hey, I didn't go crazy. And this is just a weird thought that's going through my head. We can even dissect this. We can step outside of this and dissect it. All right, that was a really strange idea that went through my head. No big deal. Let me think of something to substitute this thought. Thought substitution, give it a few months, and you're going to find that these intrusive thoughts are going to rapidly decline. Now, if any of you have any advice for the anonymous person who is feeling quite overwhelmed by this intrusive thought pattern, and any advice, or you want to share your own experience, feel free to leave a comment. And as for me personally, it's been a couple of months since I've made a YouTube video. I generally talk to a lot of people through email and Facebook. It's not that I don't enjoy making videos. Sometimes I just don't necessarily have topics to talk about. If you want me to make a video, send me an idea, and if I resonate with it, I'll put it up. Yeah, we'll go from there. So for you, for all of you, Mr. Anonymous, and for all of you that are going through this, you're fine. If you haven't gone crazy in the past years of your life, if you haven't gone crazy, you're not going to now. You're probably not going to in the future. Now listen, if you wake up holding a knife and you have no idea how you obtained that knife, and you can't retrace the past 2 hours, you absolutely need to go to the ER immediately. But for those of you suffering with these intrusive thoughts, you're okay. And a lot of people go through this. So hang in there, And be strong and be tough with this, and be vigilant with replacing the thoughts with positive, pleasant thoughts. Or even perhaps if you feel like you're going to do something very bizarre, very violent, start replacing it with the reverse side. What are you going to do to prevent that? What could you do to protect that person? What if somebody else came up to that person? What would you do to help that person out? Be constructive with your ideas. You all are good people. Your imagination is just getting the best of you. And I myself have had experience with this, and that's what I did, thought replacement. So go kick this one in the ass and, get well, be well, stay healthy, and I will talk to you guys soon.